I did have these questions I wanted to ask you. So, the first question I had was, if you had the chance to relive one day of your life, which day would it be, and why?
It'll be 3 days.
Okay, what instance are you talking about?
I mentioned them days in this podcast
It'd be
earlier.
3 days.
It'll be 3 days. The day you was born and the day your other two sisters was born. Because them 3 days I wasn't there. I was locked up each one of y'all births. So it'll be 3 days. I would love to have been there
Right.
to watch y'all be born. That's something that, I mean, I can't turn back the hands of time. But if I could, to answer your question, it'll start with those 3 days. Couldn't just be one.
But if you no, if you could, okay. The next question is, if you could receive a letter from your future self, what advice or insight would you hope to see in the letter?
If I can receive a letter from my future self,
I know you older, but
Okay.
it's still future.
okay, what I would say was, you did a hell of a job. That's what
No. What advice would you be looking for?
What
If you could-
advice?
yeah, if you like, when you open it up, what type of advice would you be hoping to see in it, or?
I don't
guess,
understand. If you saying, okay,
If
from
you could
my,
receive a letter from your future self,
right now,
what type of advice or insight?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right now you would get the letter
Okay,
right now,
okay.
but it would be from the future you.
okay, what advice? Only thing I would say was, what I've been doing lately is be disciplined and consistent. That's the key to success. I don't care what you're doing, whether you playing a sport, whether you doing journalism, whatever you're doing in life, those are the two key things. You have to be consistent and disciplined. Plain and
Discipline,
simple.
consistency.
You keep it simple, because sometimes people will put all these different things down. You can't just
Nah,
keep
yeah,
it real
that's true.
simple.
That's
Discipline and consistency.
Okay, the next question is: imagine you have a chance to revisit a moment from your past, whichever you choose, and you would. Oh wait, hold on. Let me imagine you have a chance to revisit a moment from your past. Which moment would you choose, and what would you do differently, if anything?
A moment from my past.
Yeah,
What I would do different.
if anything.
It's one thing we never talked about this, but it's one thing that plays in my head
Mhm.
often.
But
I ain't gonna say often, but it used to. It used to play in my head often, and it was back in 2007, April of 2007, April the 2nd, 2007, and that was the day your uncle, my little brother, got killed. That's
Oh, yeah, we
yeah,
didn't even talk
yeah.
about
We
that.
didn't talk about it, but it was something that happened that day. And when I look back at it, I'm like, it just made me think, like, if it was something that I could have done different, because I seen him that day, and I told him he has some things on his mind he wasn't thinking right, and I was just telling him, like, just chill out. I'm gonna make some things happen, and everything gonna be all right. But just let me take care of some things, and wait till you hear back from me before you do anything, because he was kind of hot headed at the time, and I didn't just want him to do something that would, affect him in a negative way. So when I had that conversation with him and I left, I didn't know that would be the last time I seen him. So when I go back, I'll be like, man, maybe I should have just took him with me, and he could have probably just roll with me for a little while that day, because I know how he was feeling that day, and we sit there and talk for about 2 hours, So when I got a phone call saying that something was going on, he hadn't got shot or nothing, but somebody was calling me, telling me he was out there in the neighborhood and the police had been called, and I might want to come out there and check on him and this and that. And then it was like, well, the police he ain't in no trouble. They gonna let him go.
Right.
And I was sitting on the bed, and I was like, should I go up out here? Then I was like, I'm gonna call mama. Then I was like, no, I ain't gonna call mama, because I don't want to wear her. And then probably like 10 minutes later, I get a call saying your brother shot.
Right after that.
Right after that. So I'm like, man, that was one thing I like. What if I would have just got up and left? What if I would have just did, So that's a moment that I kind of just played in my head for a while. And after I became a little more mature and older, I just realized it played out. I don't want to say how I was supposed to. Maybe if I would have pulled, I would have seen. It would have just anything could have got worse. Maybe just so. Ain't nothing I can do about it, but when you ask the question, that's one of the first things that come to my mind, though. That
Yeah,
right there.
I don't really hear too much about him. All I know is his stories that he left behind and that everybody tells about him. And it's always interesting stories. It seemed like he was a very interesting person, and would have loved to meet him.
Oh yeah, you met him, but you don't remember.
Yeah,
because you were
I
so
would
young.
love- yeah.
You know, so when he passed, you was what, 4 years old.
That's
So-
right. Oh, and that's right when you decided to move.
Yeah,
Right?
when he got murdered in 2007 April, and I moved to Atlanta in 2007 in October. So 6 months later, I was gone. I had to leave though, because if I wouldn't have left, I probably wouldn't have been there for y'all, because I was just, that stuff, it was messing with me, and no one never been arrested or
for
charged
what
with his murder. You know, no one never,
Ah.
even to this day. So I just didn't want to be around and not
Do
knowing
something.
if I'm in the face or in the area with the person who even killed my brother. So I was like, you know what? I was just going through it. So I was
Now
like,
you
let me
think about it,
just
that's
go.
something hard to think about.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
y'all don't know who it is.
We don't know
just-
who it is, and at the time, the type of person that I was, anything could have happened, because I was in the streets real heavy. So it was just a lot going on. So it's just like, for me, being a father and a person that had already been through a lot, I was like, the best thing for me to do was just leave. And when I left, you know, I came here. I don't have no family or nothing. I just always been confident in certain areas of my life that I'm gonna make it. You know, it might be a bad thing to say, but it's kind of like a prison mentality. You know, I'm gonna make it wherever I go. You know, I ain't gonna let nothing happen to me. It's kind of like the
Nah, yeah, I got the same mindset. I told my, no, I'm not even gonna talk about that.
yeah,
I'm gonna
but
talk
yeah,
about it later.
so I moved, and not only I didn't just move for myself, but I moved for my children, because I'm like, if I stay here any longer, either I'm gonna be in jail for the rest of my life, or I'm gonna be dead.
Yeah.
And what that's gonna do for my children,
Yeah.
you know? So I left. I just got all my stuff together and I left.
Yeah, regarding that situation, like you said, we never really talked about it.
Yeah.
But did you not want to talk about it, or
Who?
what happened? That was because I don't know the whole story.
We
just
we
know
could talk about it, but that's one thing. Since it's unsolved,
It's
so
oh,
it's so much that we could talk about, because no one's never been charged.
Yeah.
So I can talk about it, but I wouldn't talk about it publicly, because it's something that hasn't been
Solved, like you said.
yeah, it hasn't been solved. You know,
Okay.
so it's an open case, so to speak.
Oh, that's cool. I'm just go to the next
Yeah.
question. Okay, the next question: if you had to define your purpose in one sentence, what would it be? And then, how does that influence your decisions you make now, or in your daily life,
My purpose.
if you can define? it?
Yeah, I can define it. My purpose in life is to become one with myself. And what I mean by that is to, like, I think the goal for man is to become one with the universe. And what I mean by that is to know thyself, for one. You have to know yourself. And I don't mean, when I say know yourself, I don't mean like, oh, I like to watch this movies, or I like this color. I mean, to know yourself is to know your strengths, your weaknesses, to know your body, the way it functions, to know your brain, the way it functions, to really know yourself and know your purpose. And your purpose is perfection. Our purpose in life is to seek perfection, because we've been told that we can't. We've been told, and then when you've been told that you're not, you know, ain't no way you can perfect yourself, that's a lie. Because if you come from perfection, how can you not perfect yourself? If we all agree, whether we call him God, Allah, whatever we call the creator or whatever, if you say that you come from that, and you say that is perfect, and so that means you come from perfection. So how could you not get back to that? My goal in my life is to seek perfection. Is to seek the highest of all, is when it comes to mind, body, and soul. And knowing that the physical is just temporary. The essence of who we truly are, who I truly am, is my soul, my spirit. Those things will live on forever, even when I'm gone. Like with you when I change form, when I move on from this physical body, everything that we do or have done, you're gonna still have that with you. So that means I'm gonna still be here, whether I'm here physically or not. So that's my goal, is to leave a legacy behind, and that's what we doing with this podcast. It's the start of something beautiful.
Definitely, because that's also what I tell a lot of people. Because last year a lot of people passed last year,
Yeah.
and I just always thought like, we have funerals and whatnot, and people have their different opinions on how what you do in the next life. But I always used to think, and sometimes I tell different people that the people who passed, they still live on through the people they affected while they were still there, like different things they did for people, or that thought and that energy that they gave that person will always still live within them. They live
Yeah.
from the memories that you have of them, so it'll keep moving on.
Oh yeah.
And another thing, the perfect word, I never really understood, kind of never really understood it, and because of that, I guess I didn't like it, because I feel like perfect is like opinionated. I feel like it's not like fact. You know how people say something is perfect or this is perfect, but I feel like that's always a opinion. Like, I don't know.
It could be opinion, but just me looking at you, I'm looking at perfection. Regardless of the decision that you make, you still perfect. You might make bad decisions, but does that not make you not perfect?
Right.
No, it just means you made a bad decision. I made a bad decision, but I'm still the essence of perfection, regardless of the decision I make. And my sole purpose is to get back with being perfected, controlling my thoughts, controlling everything about my life, because we have choices. Every day we wake up with different choices. So you have the seed of perfection within you. We have the choice. When we say, like I gave an example before, when you say, well, I'm on a strict budget, I'm not going to spend this money, I'm not going to do this or do that, and sometimes we find ourselves doing it anyway. It doesn't make us not perfect because we made the wrong decision.
Okay, good.
But we had the power to make the right one as well.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So even though you might choose wrong over right, it doesn't mean you're not perfect. It just means you made the wrong decision, because the definition of a perfect has been told us in a way to control us. So we can say, well, I'm not perfect, and I
Yeah,
can
that's what I
make
was
the
gonna
mistake.
ask, like, what
No,
does perfect even, like, mean?
no. People,
Like-
they want you to. People want you to think that, so that way you won't strive for perfection. So you can give yourself an out whenever you make the wrong decision. Well, I ain't perfect, or I did this. I ain't perfect. No, I am perfect, and that's what I'm seeking. That's the whole thing, is fighting myself. Because that's the greatest battle you'll ever be in, is with yourself.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
then, the second part of that question, how does that then affect how you move in your daily life?
How does what affect?
How does your purpose, like I said,
Oh.
define purpose in one sentence, and then how does that affect you in your daily life?
It's a constant. I gotta constantly remind myself of what I'm trying to do. Constantly try to remind myself, because letting go of all the things that happened in the past, that was like the number one thing to do. And I still have some of that in me. Some of that I might not, because you never really seen me really
I
aggressive.
heard a lot of stories.
You know,
I say
you
that.
heard a lot of stories, but
Yeah.
just think about growing up. How many times have I cussed you out?
Oh, I had this one time. Well, not a lot, but I remember this one time I seen your aggression.
I said, how many times have I cussed at you? Can you count on your hand how many times I cussed it? Can you remember me just cussing you out?
I think I can only think of probably 3 times, maybe.
Maybe. So for you to sit up here and say, that means you didn't have that.
Nah, for real. No.
You didn't have that. Whenever I had a problem with you, 9 times out of 10 we would talk about it. I wouldn't. Well, I just go crazy.
No, I definitely remember us always having talks.
We had talks because
Yeah.
I didn't want to give you the things that I got when I was growing up, because I knew that would affect. I want you to be able to be sociable. I want you to be able to talk. I want you to be able to explain yourself, express yourself, and not feel like that like I can't. I want you to be able to have that conversation, whatever. With whoever, anybody, wherever, because it's gonna make you a better person to be able to express yourself and not have that fear of what people may think or what people may say. And that's something that I dealt with that a lot of people probably didn't even know, because of the way I carried myself and how aggressive I was. But some of
Right.
that aggression was to cover up some of my weaknesses and some of my fear.
Right.
Yeah, so I just was always, when it came to y'all, I just was always careful about how I talked to y'all. and I didn't want y'all to feel like I didn't want y'all to be scared of me, even though y'all to a certain until y'all got a certain age, I was kind of scared. But name one time I whooped you.
Shoot, no, I really don't remember.
Can't even,
whooping.
you know what I'm saying?
I can remember more even cussing out, but not the whooping. No, I don't remember no whoopings for real.
But then you think about my childhood.
But I remember getting whoopings from. I remember getting a lot of whoopings from my mom and my age.
But I never whooped you because I felt like it wasn't no need to. Because I know all the whoopings. The reason I didn't never whoop you guys is because all the whoopings I got didn't help me one bit. We just sit here and talked about my life in the last couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
What whoopings do for me?
I mean, yeah.
They didn't do nothing for me.
I mean,
you know.
Still got a lot of whoopings though.
Yeah, but I'm
Y'all,
saying
you didn't do it. But
I'm saying when I became a father, I feel like that wasn't the way to go.
No, definitely not. Like the whoopings, cause I don't know. The whoopings don't really. I know after I got a whooping, I was just mad. It's in my room, like,
Yeah.
man, you know what I'm saying? You do the huffing and puffing, you think like, man, I just want to leave or something
Yeah.
like that. But it don't really make me want to think. I don't think about the situation and say, well, maybe I shouldn't have. I just get mad.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, you gotta think you was a bad child. You wasn't bad, but you stayed in some.
Yeah, I mean,
This
you know,
ain't-
when y'all talk about how I was when I was little, and I was like, maybe like when I was 16, 17, y'all used to talk about how I was when I was like 4 to like 7.
You got kicked out of the daycare.
But I don't remember that stuff for real. That's
You
the
got
crazy-
kicked out of daycare too. You got kicked. Then people called me and said, "Could you come get your son?" I'm like, "What are you doing?" They just telling me all these things. So I get up there to the daycare. You at the front door, and all your stuff is right next to you. I said, "Dang."
Nah,
So
yeah, when y'all told me like I threw the chair at the teacher and stuff, and I used to walk around the house hitting people. I just don't remember that stuff.
Yeah, you grew out of it, but you wasn't. I wouldn't say you was really bad, but you just had different things that you was going through. I don't know what it was, but that's how you was for probably your first 7, 8 years.
And you know, maybe we'll get into that on the next episode.
Oh yeah, we
though.
definitely gonna get into
But,
that. We'll be talking about you a little more on the next episode, but we coming to an end.
Definitely.
You know.